If you are a retiree and want to know how to qualify for a Mexican resident visa, this video is for you. Here you are going to learn the financial requirements and a step-by-step process to get your Mexican resident visa. Let's dive in. Retirees can qualify for Mexican residency by economic solvency. This means that you can show proof that either you are receiving a pension or making a certain level of income, investments, or having a minimum amount of savings. So, you can support yourself financially in Mexico. There are two types of residency options: temporary and permanent residency. If you want to skip the temporary resident process and jump directly to a permanent residency, you are allowed to do it. The difference is that the solvency requirements are going to be higher. There are two paths for retirees. First path, pension. For temporary residency, you need a pension that yields a monthly income of 300 days of the current general minimum wage in Mexico City during the past 6 months. Let's do the math. This year, the current general minimum wage in Mexico City is 207.144 Mexican pesos. Multiply per 300 days equals 62,232 Mexican pesos. As reference, I'm going to take an average exchange rate of 17 pesos per US dollars, which equal 3,660 US dollars. If you want to skip the temporary resident process and jump directly to a permanent residency, you need a pension that yields a monthly income of 500 days of the current general minimum wage in Mexico City during the past 6 months. Let's do the math. Current general minimum wage in Mexico City, multiply per 500 days, equals 103,720 Mexican pesos, with an average exchange rate of 17 pesos per US dollars, equals 6,101 US dollars. Second path, savings or investments. For temporary residency, you will need 12 consecutive months of investment or bank accounts, with a monthly ending balance of at least 5,000 days of the current general minimum wage in Mexico City. Let's do the math. Current general minimum wage in Mexico City, multiply per 5,000 days equals 1,037,200 Mexican pesos, with an average exchange rate of 17 pesos per US dollars, equals 61,011 US dollars. For permanent residency, 12 consecutive months of investment or bank accounts, with a monthly ending balance of at least 20,000 days of the current general minimum wage in Mexico City. Let's do the math. Current general minimum wage in Mexico City, multiply per 20,000 days, equals 4,148,800 Mexican pesos, with an average exchange rate of 17 pesos per US dollars. What it gives us is 244,047 US dollars. These are only reference amounts. Requirements and amounts may vary depending on the consulate, changes in the minimum wage of Mexico City, and the current exchange rate. I leave you a link in the description to all Mexican consulates around the globe, where you can access to verify updated requirements and amounts. Notice that some websites and forms are in Spanish. Also, some procedures can confuse you. Therefore, I highly recommend that you rely on an immigration lawyer to carry out your process. What about if you are a couple? Do both need to have economic solvency? There is the possibility of proving that one is economically dependent on the other. The same will happen in the case of children. In this case, you may be required to show additional income. If you have direct economic dependents, spouse, parents, or children, you have to add 100 days of the current general minimum wage in Mexico City for each economic dependent. Let's do the math. General minimum wage in Mexico City, multiply per 100 days, equals 20,744 Mexican pesos, with an average exchange rate of 17 pesos per US dollar, equals 1,220 US dollars. Pro tip: you have to prove the family relationship by presenting an apostille marriage license or birth certificate translated into Spanish. If you do not know what an apostille document is, I made a video explaining it. Find the link in the description below. Step-by-step process. Now let's see the step-by-step process for applying for temporary residency visa in Mexico. Number 1, go to the consulate's website you're planning on visiting. Some of the sites will say to email them directly, while others will tell you to schedule via site. Most consulates do not take walk-ins. Try to avoid that unless you know for a fact that they will take you in as a walk-in. 2. Complete the application form and make an appointment. Getting an appointment can be lengthy. It is important to start the process well in advance of your travel date. 3. Once your application has been submitted and processed, it will tell you a list of documents to bring which will be specific to your chosen visa category and fees to be paid. 4. Attend the appointment with the requested documentation. The mandatory ones are passport photocopies, bank statements, and photographs. Check the measurements carefully because they're very specific. 5. At the appointment, you will be asked questions about your current status and why you want to live in Mexico. 6. Most consulates will give you their decision that same day on whether or not you're approved. If you get approved, you will usually get your residency stamp on your passport that same day. 7. If you've been granted a visa, it will be valid for 180 days. 8. You must arrive to Mexico before the visa expires to exchange it for your residency card. 9. When you arrive to Mexico, you have 30 days to visit the local immigration office and apply to get your residency card. This process is called canje. Pro tip 1. Don't wait until the last minute to travel to Mexico, and definitely don't let your stamp expire. Otherwise, you will have to start the residency process all over again. Pro tip 2. Remember that the dates in Mexico are formatted: day, month, year. So when you get that residency stamp, try not to confuse. Time frames. To summarize the time frames, it can take from start to finish as little as a few days and up to weeks or months. It just depends on how fast you get your appointment at the Mexican consulate near you, and how soon you travel to Mexico to finish the process. To end, it is important to be aware of, after obtaining your residency, it will be mandatory to obtain a RFC, which is a tax code number. Don't worry, I have a video where I explain everything you need to know about the RFC. If you have already gone through one of these processes, share with others your experience by leaving a comment. I hope you find this video helpful. If you want to learn local knowledge to invest in real estate in the Mexican Caribbean, I suggest to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.